Get your paws off me, you damn dirty remake!
Covenant, you're calling Raven.
Payback time.
Come with me if you want to live.
You just don't turn it off!
In 2029, an Air Force astronaut crash lands on a mysterious planet where evolved talking apes dominate a race of primitive humans. What's going on, everyone? My name is Jason. You're watching Backtrack Cinema, where we talk movies of the past that you know and love. And we are on to the remake of our Planet of the Apes series, the remake by Tim Burton from 2001. And this movie, guys, I'd like to say when I saw it in theater when it first came out, I enjoyed it a lot more then, but with every viewing, I like this movie less and less. This is at a time where the remake craze, right? They're early 2000s through 2000 and on, really. Remake after remake after remake. And unfortunately, this is not one of the good ones. This is not one of the good ones. In fact, the only memorable thing about this movie is how bad that ending is and how out of place that freaking ending is of this movie that we'll get into. I feel like this movie went for more summer blockbuster, have a good time at the movies, rather than a thought-provoking sci-fi action movie. So Planet of the Apes was released in 2001, directed by Tim Burton, and starring Mark Whalberg, Helen Bonham Carter, Tim Roth, and Michael Clarke Duncan. But starting off with some good things about this movie is that makeup by Rick Baker is really done well. I mean, the makeup, the way the apes move, the performances, the way the chimpanzees are done, the way the gorillas are done, just absolutely terrific makeup job by Rick Baker's department. I mean, they did just as good a job, I would say, for when this movie came out to when they did it originally in 1968. And I think that's one thing you really did have to get right. You had to get the makeup right if you're going practical effects. I don't think they were quite ready to do apes in CGI yet at this point in time. And not only the makeup, the costume design of them all, it was really well done. I like the look of the characters. Whether we're talking about Michael Clarke Duncan, Gorilla, Tim Roth as General Thade, they all look really, really well done. Production design is really done well too. I really like how everything looks in this film, where the apes live and all that. I'm not really big on the culture they were going for. It almost feels like these apes adopted a lot of earthly, a lot of human things that we do as humans, like our civilization. Whereas the original Planet of the Apes, they had kind of their own culture. There's this really weird things they do in this movie, like the little girls getting pajamas on and going to bed and having humans as pets and taking baths the way we take baths. It was just almost like poking fun, a bit satirical for me. I wanted to see the apes with their own civilization and their own unique style to everything. And I just found like they weren't really doing that in that movie. And General Thade, played by Tim Roth, I think was awesome in this movie. He was a great villain in this movie. I like the look of him. How the hatred he has for humans in this movie is just freaking, you really believe it. You know what I mean? No matter what truths come out, what he'll do to protect that ape civilization, to keep, humans as pets, and to keep humans as just beasts and everything that they hunt and everything like that. He's just a really good villain in this movie, I find anyway. And Tim Roth always delivers on all those departments. They take the story's a little different, but almost the same thing. This astronaut of Mark Whalberg, he goes to this kind of time warp, and he goes after his little chimpanzee, and he ends up crash landing on this planet, which is not Earth. This is just a planet, but because of what he did and how his main ship crash lands on here, and all their chimpanzees that they use as pilots, when they crash land, they went crazy, and this is how this society formed. So the time thing is all there still. It's not on Earth. It's not even very interesting. The way the little changes they do make, they're not very interesting, very retread. It's void of any kind of social commentary that original sci-fi had. You got to have that. I love when the Planet of the Apes is doing the social commentary, when they're doing, who deserves the world more, the humans or the apes, and having great human characters mixed with great ape characters, where this has lousy human characters. I think the ape characters are pretty good for the most part. Great cast in this movie too. Like, it's unfortunate how bad the movie is with such a great cast, but they just void of a lot of things. Like, I don't know why they weren't tapping into more and more and building upon what was already there. Went for more of like a summer blockbuster feel. Like, even the third act of the movie, you know, where they have this kind of like battle at the between the humans and the apes and stuff like that. I thought it was entertaining enough for me. You know what I mean? But just void of a lot of things. And coming from a guy like Tim Burton, this doesn't feel like a Tim Burton film that much, man. It doesn't really have his stamp on it. I don't know if there's any studio meddling. It kind of feels that way because you look at films like Edward Scissorhands and Batman and Beetlejuice has that stamp, that Tim Burton stamp, and I just don't feel it. I don't sense it in this movie at all. And I was talking about some of the human characters. Like, I don't really like the idea that they speak in this. The whole idea is that they don't speak. Whalberg's character is kind of replacing Charlton Heston's character where he couldn't communicate with anybody. It was so jarring when he was on this planet. And this, you know, they can talk, they can communicate. It just, one actress there who's kind of like the female human lead looks fucking stunned through this whole fucking movie. You know what I mean? It's just not a good actress, and you know, clearly not directed well either. She's just half the time you don't know what she's feeling or thinking. She's just supposed to be this, you know, jealous of the relationship that's happening between the ape girl and Mark Wahlberg. So yeah, the human characters could have used a lot more work in this movie, a lot more work. But the ape characters are done pretty well, I think. I really like Michael Clarke Duncan's character, more the religious ape who has a lot of faith. And, you know, they're all sitting down for dinner, and one guy goes to grab food before the prayer, and he's like,
Bow your head!
But again, you know, none of them are really as interesting as the original Planet of the Apes. But even Helen Bonham Carter's character, you know, she's playing the similar character to Zira from the original, even though she's not as interesting as her, because there's just not much great dialogue and great thought-provoking stuff and social commentary going on. And one of the fucking worst endings I've ever seen in a movie, man. The ending of this movie. You know, after they defeat General Thade, Mark Wahlberg returns to Earth, and then Earth is run over by apes because Tim Roth managed to fly this ship, get back to Earth, and change the course of Earth's history. This came out of fucking nowhere. It made no sense. Visually, it looks stupid. You know, where you, instead of Abraham Lincoln, you got Ape Iran Lincoln with General Thade, how he influenced Earth's history. And then you got, like, they don't even look like civilized apes. You got apes in cop outfits and everything like that. It just looks absolutely stupid, man. Looks so bad. And it was just such a stupid ending, man. Dumb ending. It just made no freaking sense. For the most part, I like Mark Wahlberg in most movies. I don't know if this is just before he got comfortable being that lead man in these blockbuster kind of movies, but even in this movie, he doesn't really do much. He doesn't have a whole lot of charisma as a leading man. He's, you know, just very disserviceable. You know what I mean? And so, I don't know. Mark Wahlberg didn't do much either for me in this movie. I mean, there's entertaining moments in the movie, but as a whole, I just find the movie kind of dull and boring. So this one doesn't really hold up really well for me, guys. Just not very interesting. So I'm going to give Planet of the Apes from 2001 a D. What about you guys, though? Let me know in the comments below what you think of Planet of the Apes, the remake. We'll have a great discussion about it in those comments below. And if you're new to the channel, you like the content I'm dishing out, why not subscribe, like, share, all that jazz. And I'll put an end card up for other Planet of the Apes reviews I am doing. We're getting closer to Kingdom of the Apes as we speak. And it's going to be fun going through that movie when it finally comes to theaters and stuff like that. And so my name is Jason. You're watching Backtrack Cinema. I will see you next time, and I will see you in the movies. Cheers.